The Leadership Scorecard. Hi, this is Karl Bimshas, and you're listening to Reflections on Leadership. I frequently use the terms lousy leader and effective leader. Now that's admittedly pretty subjective, but if you think about it, you can pretty much identify lousy leaders who you've come across, and you can identify effective leaders you've come across. They tend to be people you admire versus people you do not admire. But still, it's good and bad leadership is pretty subjective, and the reality is that leadership is more of a continuum. But it is a continuum of effectiveness, and there are several essential leadership skills that people are either good at or fair at or excellent at. And these essential leadership skills can fall into several buckets. They might be situational and interpersonal awareness, your level of creativity and problem solving, general management strategy and getting results, communication, influence, and persuasion, and your professional acumen and attitude, which is where a lot of people do tend to get tripped up. Really, defining good and bad leadership is situational, and it's based on the current environment, the needs of the times, and the consensus of others. In other words, the followers get to decide whether their leader is any good or not. So I've developed a leadership scorecard, and it's a rating scale of 5 questions. And from the low end, you can have 1 to 10, or I use 0 to 3, but you have the low end, which would be what my world would be a lousy leader, and the higher end, which would be an effective leader. You might want to try this on yourself. To what degree is the leader situationally aware? So are they tone deaf, which would be on the low end, or do they grasp the moment, which would be on the higher end? Second question, to what degree is the leader curious? So do they seek provocation on the low end, or do they seek clarification on the higher end? To what degree is the leader stewardship-minded? So in other words, are they serving self, or are they serving others? And number 4, to what degree is the leader empathetic? So they have little or no empathy, or on the high end, are they explicitly empathetic? And finally, to what degree is the leader informing and educating? So on the low end, are they just supplying dogma? Or on the high end, are they providing insight? So when you look through that scale, you can kind of make note of any strengths and weaknesses that the leader may have. But it really doesn't stop there. There are 2 other important components of kind of deciding whether a leader is effective or not. Now, the first one would be, does the leader display self-assuredness? Now, self-assuredness can manifest itself in several different ways. On the low end, there would be arrogance, and these are lots of statements that have me and I in it. And on the higher end, that self-assuredness is true confidence, and those include a lot of we and us statements. And finally, the question of character, does the leader display moral leadership? On the low end, they never do, and on the high end, they always do. Now, admittedly, all of this is subjective, but it is part of the leadership spectrum, and it's good to know where you, as a leader, fall, or where people you are following fall. So we make snap judgments about our leaders, and our instinct and our gut are legitimate tools, but they can cloud our objectivity. So by looking at these 5 leadership skills and the 2 confidence and character attributes, it forces us to slow down long enough to focus on nuance and increase our chances of accurately knowing where a person may fall on the spectrum between a lousy and an effective leader. So this scorecard captures a snapshot of the leader. It's a moment of time, but it provides valuable information for assessing opportunities for growth, development, and determining if they're worth following in the first place.